Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. The Chancellor of Germany, Merz, calls Putin now perhaps the greatest war criminal of our time. And I have Putin's response to this statement, accusation. Now, do you remember when Putin talked about not using nuclear weapons in Ukraine? Well, if you don't remember, I would tell you. If you remember, very good. He said, they wanted me, they tried to push me to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine, but I don't think it's necessary. And what did I say at that statement? Remember? No? I said this. If the Russians, imagine how they would call the Russians, from that point on, for the rest of the whatever, up to eternity, if Russia dropped an atomic bomb on a field somewhere in Ukraine, even killing 2 mercenaries, 2, they will be called the greatest, the biggest, the greatest war criminal already. Maybe almost as big as Adolf. But they can't do that because they would topple the group's victimhood, you know what I mean? But even like this, that's Zelensky's stand, so it's halfway already gone. So I'm going to show you how these guys call Putin and how they called him before and what is Putin's response. I want you to make this intellectual, mental, cognitive effort and remember when Putin called the Western leaders, I know, bad words. All right? Like, I know, baboons, weasels, bottom feeders, weaklings, like I do. Okay, but I'm just a baboon here. He is at the level of the respected presidency of a strong country. The other guys, through their behavior and their statements, are undermining their own institutions. Remember, a person is a criminal only after he was convicted in a court of law. Until then, it's just allegations, it is just, defamation if it's verbal, libel if it's in writing. So this guy, Merz, makes a statement without having the evidence proven in a court of law. He didn't come and brought the evidence. He didn't allow the other side to defend himself. And then obviously there was no objective judge anywhere. All right, let's start with these imbeciles' statements. New Voice of Ukraine. Remember, he called Putin the greatest war criminal of our time, perhaps, even without dropping a nuclear weapon anywhere. Kremlin response. So, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz has for the first time publicly called the Russian dictator Vladimir Putin, and I'm quoting, perhaps the greatest war criminal of our time, and urged the world to show him no leniency. Mertz made the remarks in an interview with broadcaster Sat1 published on September 2nd. And I'm quoting, he is a war criminal. Mertz, the rule of law. You remember? Innocent until proven guilty? Remember that one? How do you call that? The due process? Do you remember that? This is the chancellor of a country that supposedly is civilized, from the free world, with democracy, with freedom, with everything. He calls someone, accuses someone of being a criminal, an outlaw, someone who committed a crime without being proven by a court of law. What is that? Now, if you're okay with that, imagine someone comes at work, where you work, and says that you're a pedophile. And then nothing happens. And nothing should happen according to that, if you agree with that. Remember, that person has to come, it's the burden of truth. That guy has to provide evidence. And after he provides evidence in front of a court, then you defend yourself and so on. So, let's see what else this imbecile says. He is perhaps the greatest, so he's a war criminal. That's a statement, a positive affirmative statement. He is perhaps, let's doubt, maybe not the first one, the second one. Why? He thought he was alive during Adolf's time. That's why. He is perhaps the greatest, I'm guessing, the greatest war criminal of our time. I don't think he is. I mean, 45, I don't think, he's not 80 anyway. The one we are seeing right now, and we must be very clear about how to deal with war criminals. There is no room for leniency, the Chancellor said. Now let me tell you this. Was Bill Clinton a war criminal? Was Sir Tony Blair a war criminal? Were everybody, all the leaders who participated in the illegal bombardment in Yugoslavia, 1999, war criminals? Was Harry Truman, the former US president, was he a war criminal? He dropped 2 atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and he was ready to do it more and more and more. They want to erase that and start with this guy, which is Putin. That's why one of the reasons why Putin did not do it is not because he didn't need it, but if he would, he could have stopped the war right there. But then all these guys will teach your grandchildren or children and you and whomever that is the worst guy over there, almost as close with the other guy. That's it. That's it. But the Russians are smart. They are Europeans, after all. And they still follow the Greco-Roman civilization. They still abide by that. They're not a Judeo-Christian culture, right? They are Christian, whatever, but their behavior is not the burning bush and Maria Magdalena, all that. All right, let's see how Putin responds to that. Russia Today. Putin responds to Mertz war criminal insult. It's an insult, and it's also, as I said, proven. What do you think? The German Chancellor tried to divert the responsibility for Ukraine conflict away from the West, the Russian president has said. Now, who is in between this guy and the other guy? Where are you? Who is the guy who you would think, well, is it true? Could be, but not proven yet. So your affirmation is so far just not proven. The other guy says, well, you just try to divert responsibility, that's the point. Chancellor Friedrich Merz sought to shift the responsibility for the Ukraine conflict away from the West, Putin said after the German called him a war criminal. Speaking during a press conference on Wednesday, Putin said, I think that Merz's remark was an unsuccessful attempt to absolve himself, maybe not himself personally, but his country and the collective West, of the responsibility of the tragedy that is currently unfolding in Ukraine. Now, the imbeciles would not understand this long statement. I say, what are you talking about? What do you mean absolve himself? He's not guilty of anything. Oh, himself personally? No, not even. What do you mean? Germany is, or the collective West are responsible for the tragedy that is currently unfolding in Ukraine? Since we all know it's Russia and Putin. We all know. You remember, they invaded just because they want to build back the Soviet Union and they have imperialistic tendencies, and Putin is just evil like the other guy, just illogically evil, and that's it, and mad. That's all you need to know. Now go and get your Bible, and go and get Humpty Dumpty, all right, read that if you want, or watch whatever Alice in Wonderland, and you're good, man. Pay your taxes, shut the fuck up, drive your car with a mask on, and be up to date with your boosters. And then you are a law-abiding citizen. Okay? All right, let's see what else this guy said here. Merz told broadcaster Sat1 that Putin was perhaps the most serious war criminal of our time, expressing skepticism over Moscow's readiness to agree to a ceasefire. All right, we already know that one. And we have other Western civilized people who you may say, well, Emil, maybe they tell the truth. Well, maybe. Here, but do you need to use those words? I can use them. I'm a baboon here. I know. I tried sometimes to solicit a reaction. I want to show you what's going on, and I try to create a reaction here. That's why I call these guys baboons, because some of them are baboons. But that's me. I can call them, some people that are not right, or I'm skeptical that they are on the right path. I can use this kind of words, but it's going to be dry and boring. That's why I call them all these names, because they look to me like bottom feeders on the bottom of the lake and so on. All right, Let's move on. In 2023, former US President Joe Biden characterized Putin as a dictator. Elected dictator. And Joe Biden also elected. Remember, he was elected. Nobody was going, not nobody. Did you see, have you watched? I have no evidence that the voting machines took a shit and they said that guy won, or the voting mail-in ballot or whatever. I don't even have to go to that one. For me, the evidence of the elections when Biden won is this. Imagine here two singers, two... Okay, you got these two guys, and they are going to the studio, and they make the... and the other one... and they make each them a record. My record. And then they sell it to the world. Right? And when they sell it to the world, this is like, my God, he's like 90 million Americans vote and buy this album. Versus the other one, they buy, I don't know, about 80 million. So obviously, top of the charts is not is But now they go touring, both of them, and you expect, according to the numbers of how many people love the alright, compared with they would come and see this guy more. All the stadiums will be full for the BBDB, not for Babadaba. Got it? But it's not like that. The stadiums are all full every time Bada shows up for a rally. Wherever he goes, where I went to two of them, wherever he goes, full, you have even people outside with the folding chairs are listening to these guys' speeches. But the BBDB who sold more albums than Baba Daba, he's seeing 3 cars with circles and bubbles. Did you see those? How is this possible? And his concerts are very small people show up. Is because those guys are not loyal? Is because they're poor? No, they bought the album. So for me, person, as a baboon that I am, tells me who won. And I don't think it was the BBDB, I think it was the Babadaba. Alright? But we got 2 idiots anyway. Just so you know, Babadaba and BBDB are the same. Are BBDB. That's all. One song. Fuck me, Freddy. Let's move on. So we have the BBDB here. Characterized Putin as a dictator. But Zelensky, who was unelected, right, he missed elections, just missed them because of the martial law, he's the president. He has previously similarly branded the Russian leader pure thug, who is waging an immoral war against the people of Ukraine, a war criminal. Moscow has long condemned Western military aid to Kiev, and What do you want, my friends? What do you want? These guys are supposedly decent people, supposedly people who are way above us. I'm just a baboon. For the 15th time I tell you that. But those guys, they insult their presidency, their office, the institutions. They supposedly are the best in the world with that kind of language. And not only that kind of language, Biden is talking about that. Who Obama is talking? Who are these guys? How many wars they started? Well, the war in Ukraine, it was Russia's war, right? Yeah, okay. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Remember, if you agree with what Mertz said, right, then I told you, you go to work, one of your co-workers comes and calls your name and that's it. Or accuses you of something criminal and you can't say anything and you can't do anything. Why? He doesn't have to prove it. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth and be just. You can say, well, Emil, I don't think Putin will show up to stay in front of a court. And my question is, okay. My response will be, okay. I think he should come after Bill Clinton comes in front of the court, International Nuremberg trial, and Sir Tony Blair, and George W. Bush, and Barack Obama, and Hillary Clinton. When these guys are first, because chronologically they are before these guys 2022, remember? So these guys, after they are judged with Saddam Hussein, with Gaddafi, with Yugoslavia, with Libya, remember Gaddafi and so on, and with Syria, with Assad, after they are judged, remember? Then we get to Putin. Until then, shut the fuck up. Oh, Emil, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Come on now. Let's start with the guys are still alive, and then we get to Putin. Okay, I'm all for it. And while we are at it, we can get at Trump as well. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Why? He still sends weapons to Ukraine. Do you call that, what do you call that? Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.